Hi, I'm Marilyn Harding, and I'm here with my very special co-host, Hilary Bowring, author of Find Your Soul in Your Heart. This is our third podcast together, and we're just having a wander through Hilary's many offerings. And if you're joining us now, I encourage you to look back. But for today, we're in the midst of lockdown. I'm in Greece, and Hilary is in Canada. The other day, I had an interesting conversation with my son, and realizing the weekend is here yet again, and it doesn't seem like a week since the last weekend. And it was my comment was that time is going fast and slow simultaneously. And then I realized that the Greeks recognized this, and they call it chronos, which is clock time, and kairos. Ethan corrected me, kairos, which is right time or opportune time. Good. And when I thought of that, I thought, wow, this is why Hilary and I have been attracted to one another in this project, because certainly through COVID, we are facing ourselves in a new way and wondering who we are and who we're going to be at the end of this lockdown. So we're facing our fears, our doubts, our priorities. If we're not all our external labels, who are we? And I think that this is where we start looking for our soul, that longing that we have that you described so well. So I'm going to just turn this over to you, Hilary, to describe this wonderful work you do with people.
Okay, well, first of all, hello to everyone, wherever you are, whatever time it is when you're watching this. I guess the one thing I want to focus on this time, we did talk about it a little bit in the second podcast, was about soul journeys. And what we touched on was really pertinent to what people are experiencing now, because people are feeling a lot of pressure, they're feeling uncertainty, they're feeling sad, they're feeling all kinds of mental problems. And also there are major tragedies happening. People are dying, and especially older people.
And without family around them, and not being able to go to funerals,
Yeah. So it really goes back to that point we were talking about, which was, we asked the question, why do bad things happen to good people? Mm. And we do this because we're constantly trying to find meaning, give meaning to life. And especially, you just said, with these elderly people dying even on their own. So within the soul journey idea, we try to make sense of these kind of mishaps, these awful, tragic happenings. So the soul journey is an understanding that we're here in this lifetime with these people around us, with these circumstances that we're going through, in order to expand our understanding of who we are and to move back out of our conditioning into our soul self, to be able to see it from that deeper inner perspective, as opposed to being dragged along through the drama and not being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's a way of, in that model, is to take us back to a broader outside perspective, to contemplate and not be so caught up in the flurry of things. So we talked about it last time about contracts, that we've made contracts with each other, and you made that funny joke about, when it was just with my soul, I know it was going to be
that's so. That's right. They'll understand.
My soul will understand this. Yeah. So it means that we have all agreed as a group of souls together. We sat around in between lives and decided what we were going to do. And we would have taken on roles to help us all learn. And some of them would be goodies and some of them would be baddies. Mm. So it's looking at this situation, this life that we're in, as a game of consciousness in a sense. And we are all playing different characters. And, so sadly, I was trying to think about the people dying, that there could be something about within their journey that they are sacrificing for us to see things that need to be changed.
Yeah. Well, yes, this has been a clarion call on many levels.
Yes.
And certainly when you think about relationships that are being devastated through this proximity to one another, we're being asked why we're with this person. Why indeed are we contracted?
Yes. Yes, exactly. And it's also, you know, some of the people who come in, you know, may be controversial figures. They may be catalysts to change, even though they're sort of shit disturbers that we don't like. So it's sort of stepping back from it all, and, you know, and it's very complicated. And this is not a simple idea.
No, I know. I've had that look from high above and thought, oh yeah, I get it now. But man, when you're in the midst of it,
No.
it's betrayal. It's all of those things. It's trauma. But if we can take a deep breath through that and say, yes, it is trauma, like we talked in one of the other episodes, that we need to allow these feelings because this is what's happening. It's ricocheting through our body. We need to express it and then understand that there's a way through this. And I think with connecting with the soul, we get our stability, and then we can usher ourselves through that.
Yes, and definitely that. And one of the things that I found very helpful in my own experience was to sort of look back and see, because what we do have in our lives are big patterns. You can call it karma, but they're big karmic themes, they're big patterns that we can see when we start to recognize that there are patterns there. Ways that we're trying as souls to sort of get to the place where we are no longer separated and alone. We sort of create these experiences to try and break down that separation story. So we're trying these dire experiences really to find a place of compassion no matter what.
And compassion for ourselves as well as compassion for those who are creating angst.
Yeah, yeah. So when I looked at my life, I could see that, you know, my life had been about, my big theme, if you like, was abandonment, because my father was killed when I was little, and then my husband was taken from me again. So that was like part of my, well, that was my big theme, plus grief. So there are many. So you talked earlier about betrayal. So someone else's might be betrayal. Someone else's might be abuse. Someone else's might be persecution. Someone else's might be martyrdom. And we have other, I mean, there are probably the big ones. I may have missed one.
And these are archetypes, aren't they? The martyr, the victim, the...
Yes, yeah.
Now, because can you just elucidate a little bit on archetypes for me? I kind of get it, but, you know, the patterns, they say we have 3 main archetypes that are running through our lives, and we can probably recognize them. But can you just explain what an archetype actually is for me?
Well, in my understanding, it's an energetic factor. It's a factor that we have as a human race created, and we sort of bought into these ideas, so it becomes like a bigger energy that we all relate to and we can tap into. So so they are real, like big globs of energy that we draw on to help understand. I mean, they're sort of mythological in a way too. So it helps us to understand what we're going through. It's almost like a lot of the things that, you know, Christ experienced were part of these energies coming into life form. You know, the persecution, the betrayal, all of those things. So that's my understanding of it. And you can, I mean, there are goddess archetypes, and you can choose to connect with these archetypes as part of our healing journey. You know, we can connect with Jesus. There is that idea of Christ consciousness.
Yes, yes.
Goddesses and the Greek gods and the Indian wisdom goddesses. So these are energies that we have created collectively and that we can connect in with or choose not to. But it's just it's like, to me, it's like explaining how these things show up in our lives and how we can become more actively conscious about choosing what to have in us and not.
And that was going to be my next question. When you talk about breaking through the soul connection, you talk about the shield that we have around our heart because of some of these experiences.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's about dissolving that and then blockages in our subconscious. So the question I have also to elucidate for people who are listening is the difference between the conscious mind, subconscious mind and consciousness, because I feel that the observer in me is a consciousness, and yet my conscious is the thinking mind, and we want to get involved with the one that is all consciousness, correct?
That's correct. But I guess the one that's in the middle is, of course, the subconscious, and that's been unfortunately driving our lives because because it is subconscious. We're not aware of it, but now we're becoming much more clear about that is, what is happening. So if we're in some of these major themes like betrayal, etc., or abandonment, then I will have, say I talk about abandonment, I will have certain things running in my subconscious linked to that. So I'll be almost, because I have been abandoned twice by the two key male figures in my life, I really had to pull all that apart and see that I was still expecting to be abandoned in other ways.
Oh,
yeah, because it's like a tape that was running inside me, even though it wouldn't necessarily be back to that big grief and removal. It would still be that I would be expecting that in some of my other relationships until I could see it. Like becoming clear and aware of something is a major step to dissolving it when we can see
right. And I have to confess, I'm not proud, but in relationships, I've had experiences where I started an argument and the response is, what, are things going too well for you that you need to disrupt something? Because that's the pattern. It's much more comfortable in a way to be fearful or doubting or upset. And when we're running that pattern, and like you say, getting caught in the moment that you recognize the pattern. Like I remember my spiritual teacher, Gita Ma, said to me, when we do this work, we'll, after the argument, we'll say, oh, I shouldn't have gotten involved in that. And then eventually it'll be in the midst of the argument, you go, oh, why am I doing this? And eventually it's before the argument and you can deflect it because you see the pattern in yourself and you say, well, I don't even need to go there.
Yes, yeah, no, I think that's a lovely way of describing it too, because that is, we just catch ourselves and then with hindsight we're then in the middle and then with foresight maybe eventually.
Yeah, I'm working on that one. Mm-hmm.
It is a snakes and ladders game. I guess the other thing that was going through my mind and when I was thinking about this and now we're having this conversation is that with these big themes, we can see them in our families too. So it's like, we'll often find if we look at one of our parents that we share a pattern in common with them. And, it was very clear after my husband died that my mother was a widow. She was widowed when she was very young. So it was like seeing that there is that abandonment history in my lineage. So that's also something that people can contemplate, because it also, when you have that soul perspective, it really stops the sort of shame and blame cycle.
Right. Now in my family, there's a lot of suicide. It's several generations, and the recognition is that it's once it's happened, it's a problem-solving technique, and to break that pattern. So that was my big mission once I had children, to just we tend to parent the way we were parented or the opposite. Neither of those is correct. So we need to figure out how that relationship is a one-on-one with two individuals, the parent and the child. And that was a big one for me. And when I was writing my book, I needed to explain all of this to put my little stories of reflection into context. And as you will recall, the most difficult thing I did was write that preamble, because every time I'd start, I'd get drawn into the drama and the pain and suffering of it. And it took getting out of the country on a trip that I finally was able to get above it and look down and say, oh, when this happened, I felt that. And I didn't have to say, he did this to me, and then I felt that.
Yes.
So it no longer was attached to a person or an emotion. It was just, okay, that happened, and this was my response to it. So anyway, that was my experience. So I am very happy to share a strategy with any and all that can help us through that.
Yeah. But it was wonderful that you were aware so early on and could actually help to break that with your own two children. So that's not often what happens. You know, it takes a longer time, maybe some crisis with them that could have set it off, but you actually could see it already. So that's wonderful.
Well, the problem with that was, and this is a difficult thing, and I think this is something that we need to talk about at a further conversation, is when you do soul work, sometimes you have to jettison the very people that expect to be in your life forever. And not that I jettisoned my parents, but my mother always went home with the babies. And, you know, my mom and dad would move in, and she was a nurse, and she would look after the babies. But my mother and dad also believed that babies should cry and cry and cry, and I didn't. And I had to say no to my mother. It broke her heart, and it seemed very cruel. But I knew that this relationship had to, from the get-go, had to be between me and my son. And for the next one, and it was really hard.
But I see that as being finishing a soul contract. I don't know how the emotion, but I mean, I remember with my own mother, because of my, abandonment when I was a child, I tried to sort of avoid chaos. So I was a people pleaser after that. I didn't want anything else to sort of shake my world. And so it carried on and carried on. And my mother, a wonderful woman, but nevertheless, she kind of used that. This was part of the journey together. Mm-hmm. And so I remember at one point she was staying, it was after David had died, and she was staying with me, and she was just a bit critical about some things that I was doing or something like that. I can't even remember the specifics about it, but I remember just staring at it must have been in an argument, and saying, I was not here to please you. And she just went, it was like sort of game over.
Yeah.
I think when the soul knows that was what it was about, she was trying to help me in a weird way stop doing that.
Right.
And so when I could say, I'm not here to be that for you, it was just like there wasn't an argument. It was just like, oh,
a recognition. Like,
yeah, I think that may be happening with your mother too. It's like it's not full of resentment. It's just like it's a very clean break when you've actually hit the spot.
Well, my mother was a bit into guilt, so it wasn't exactly.
Well, that was her own extra journey.
Yeah, and of course, for me, my mother was depressed when she was pregnant with me. I was a late pregnancy, and then she was away in and out of hospital until I was 3, and then gone for 5 years. So I did have abandonment issues also about a mother and depressed mother. So it was a very big critical thing for me to really stop and assess how I would be with my children. I still screwed up. I made a host of other mistakes, but I didn't make those, I don't think.
Well, I guess that's part of the beauty of being a human being, that we just keep moving on and we try different things, and that's what makes us all enjoyable and adorable.
Yes, we're all adorable.
Well, the thing that was going through my mind when we're going through this is that anyone who does see this after we published it, it would be lovely for them just to sit and contemplate what were the main themes through their own families, because it really is important. Because when we move on to clearing them from ourselves, we are also clearing them from that lineage, from our ancestry. So
so Hilary, what would be a little exercise that you could recommend for doing that?
Well, I would just be how I would be doing it. It was one of the ways of that clearing actually in itself, is that when something presses your button, you sit back and contemplate it and think, what is it? It's rather than sort of thinking it's about them, they press my button, what's wrong with them? It's like, why is this happening to me? So you flip to the other side of this. Understanding it's because of some vibrational factor in you that you're attracting this in. So you have to allow time to sort of sit and go, and you might not get a quick result. I mean, some of the things that I'm trying to link together, it just takes time, but that's the kind of discovery you go on. You go on that journey of thinking about, writing things down, thinking, does this remind me of something else? Did my mum do this? Did my dad do this to me? Is this something I've met before?
And without blaming, without saying, this is something that, no. Right. That's the big challenge too. And this is what I described when I was writing my thing about the people that I had to to talk about it. It was painful at the time, but now that's past, and this is what happened, and that's what happened. And the other thing I realized, Hilary, doing that too, is that I could not speak for other people, so I couldn't give an opinion on why somebody did something, or that this person did that to me, because it's not my business.
That's right, exactly. It's all about just looking at why is it affecting me, because what we're trying to do is to get to a place of neutrality and compassion for everyone who crosses our path.
And so that relationship, sorry to jump, but that relationship is yours between you and that person, and it has nothing to do with the rest of her family. It's not my job to say that guy was an SOB and he did this to me.
But often if you talk to people on the other side, they go, "What? I wasn't meaning that. Where did you get that from?" It's all in our own mind.
Yes, exactly. Hilary, I don't want to lose time on our little process, so can we do that now and then?
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things that as an easy process for us to do together in this little Zoom connection point is that when we have hurts inside us, when we have patterns inside us, if we don't deal with them, it comes out as anxiety or even disease. So it's very important to sort of understand there's a mind-body connection, there's a soul-body connection. So one of the things that we did talk about last time too, of it was the power of sound for clearing. So I'm going to do something about that again, using that modality now, but it's a bit different. We used it last time, it was to open the heart. This is actually to connect with the body and to, if there's been something troubling you or anyone watching this recently, something's come up, or something hasn't felt right, a button's been pressed, then you can connect into your body and ask, where is that being held?
Right.
But it's not dissolved, it's being held somewhere. So we can go into an inner state just to scan our bodies and speak to our body and say, where is this? And just see what comes up. It could just be your attention's drawn to your belly or your back or your shoulders or your head. I mean, wherever it is for you, just to acknowledge where it is and kind of give it your attention and squeeze it if you can, or just mentally squeeze it. And then we're going to do some ohms. We'll know ohm is the primordial sound, and what happens with anything vibrationally. So this stuck thing inside us has a vibration. So when we do the ohm, that's the clearing, transformative sound that can, because we always want to try and get back into resonance. We're always trying to get into resonance, physically and emotionally. So with the use of this sound of the ohm, stuck parts will start to try and open up to get in tune with the ohm. So we're going to do 3 ohms, and then the precursor to the ohm is the sound hum. Hum.
So do you go aum or om?
It's yeah. Apparently, the primordial vibration is hum, and then the sound is om. So sometimes you can hear that in meditation. That's sort of the hum of the universe. So we use the hum. I just use om and a hum. And what we'll do when we do it together is, you'll do it with me, won't you?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Can't wait.
We'll do 3 different pitches, and then when you do it on your own, you may vary them to see what resonates with you the most to clear this thing.
Well, we did something similar to that on the last one, where we opened the heart with different ranges
of. Different. This is like scanning, so it's like it's a specific intention.
Great.
So in this case, we just do a little bit of breathing first, so just to sink into the body first. So you're sitting down, which we both are. Just imagine roots going down from your feet, way down into the earth, and through your sitting bones. There's a great link to the earth through your sitting bones as well. And take a deep breath in through your feet, bring it right up through your heart, drop your shoulders, elongate your spine, and breathe out to your crown. Now breathe in from your crown and send your breath right down through your heart, right down into Mother Earth. Breathe in again from Mother Earth, into your heart, out through your crown. Bring the divine light in through your crown, right down through your feet into Mother Earth. Now start to focus on your heart and just bring to memory something that's been aggravating, something that's been troubling you, something that's been stirring you up. Mm-hmm. Just bring that to mind. And then now we ask our bodies to indicate where that energy is in our body. So just spend a moment or two finding where it is. And when you know where it is, it's just giving it attention or squeezing it. And you might even put your hand on it. I often do that if I can. So I put my hand on it. I'm going to put mine here at my right hip, because that's where it is. So now we know where it is, and we're now going to do 3 ohms and 3 hums too. So I'll start the pitch and you follow me, Marilyn, okay? So deep breath in. Then breathe out. I should have said that. We do the O and then we do a breathe out. Do the next one, just do a different pitch. Another one, deep breath in. I'm going to go lower this time. Now we're going to do 3 hums. I'll start the hum at a certain pitch, and then I'd like you to pick up a pitch for the next one. Is that okay? See what your body wants to.
So you will hum, and then I will hum a different pitch, and then you'll...
After me, you do. We're going to do 3 hums.
Okay.
So I'll do the first one, you do the second one. And then, okay, so I'll start out. I'll do one other one to finish, and we'll do one final thing, okay? Deep breath in. Then I often do a final one. I do this in the morning, different things that come up. It's a way of starting the day with there is anything troubling me. So at the end of these 2 rounds of ohms and hums, I'll also do one which is the sound of love. And that's like as high as we can go with like an ooh sound. So I just let that kind of wash all over. So I'll just do that as well. So just to give you an idea of it. So take a deep breath in. So you can see with that, you can change the pitches to what your body seems to require.
Yeah.
Because you chose a different one, because your body must have wanted that. So it's like when you did the second hum, you know?
Yes. Yes. I like the ooh. That felt.
I know, you can do lots of oohs.
All right.
Yeah, you can do lots of oohs instead. So it's like and I often do several oohs because it's like having a shower of love. You know, you are higher up.
Yes, it's very scintillating.
Yeah.
I know, it's beautiful. I'm just checking our time. I think that we have done our 30 minutes. We may have gone
Well,
over.
the only thing I wanted to mention, do you mind, is at the very end that we're going to show there's another way of completing things, which is through forgiveness.
Yes, that's one. We do have time for that.
Yeah, just because, it's a way of understanding that we can still be holding on to things, even with our enormous logic and various, it's another way of working on the subtle plane, is to go into a meditation and forgive the people who've appeared to hurt you. Yeah.
And I think it's important, because a lot of times it's just too much. It's just too much. They really shouldn't have done that. But it's being willing to forgive, which is a stepping stone to that. But also forgiveness isn't about exonerating people. It's about letting yourself go from that energy. I mean, it's still, you may not continue to have a relationship with that person, but it's no longer defining you. Or would you agree with that?
Well, yes. I mean, a long time ago, after David died, when I was trying to, understand things, I remember finding forgiveness was really rankling me because it seemed to have a judgmental factor energy going through. So I reinvented it for my own use.
Good.
It was forgiving of love and understanding.
Forgiving, yes, forgiving of love and understanding. That's a wonderful way to express it. Yeah.
I think like that helps to me. Not, it's not judgmental. It's saying that I have to just let this go. It's like it's a let go, isn't it? Of even if you can't do the love part, at least the understanding part to begin with,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. So So there is a meditation that we can put at the bottom.
Yes.
On YouTube that is about the forgiveness.
Well, I'm listing all your meditations, so people will have to scroll down and forgiveness and practice with that one. I just want to ask everyone if you would kindly, if you do want to stay in touch with us and know when these podcasts are coming out, we're going to try to be very regular. But sometimes our schedules, as much as we're under lockdown, are busy still because we're doing other things. So if you would like to subscribe to this channel and then ring the bell, and then you'll get notification when we post a new one. And I think we're going to have a lot more fun with this once we get through our practices, and then we can have discussions and guests, which we're looking forward to. Yeah. Thank you so much, Hilary, and happy weekend to you.
Much love to you. Yeah, wonderful time together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.